Right. Hello again. Um, Rattling this off. We're going to start with talking about the sensate body in the city. And while I'm teaching urbanism and digital narratives after COVID, I'm also teaching performance and technology, a way to break down the silos between the senses and the arts. First chart here, the blue things are patches we can make in Max MSP for the performance and technology class. But for the urbanism class, this is kind of an important lesson in what and how we engage our senses in the city. Certainly, when we take a walk in the woods, in the mountains, on the seashore, we engage all these senses, but there's something that happens when human consciousness compounds different senses, art forms, senses with each other, making music, making visual ingredients. There's a layering of consciousness going on. So in the upper part, and I want to talk about modernity, modernism in terms of both a reductive thing and a thing that goes into deeper, seemingly chaotic consciousness. Um, Elements of dance, space time, energy force from the body, expressing. Space, the space of the dance, as you see in the illustration below, photograph below. This is a photogrammetric shot of a dance, then 3D printed and rendered. I have some of that software myself. I love these forms of kinesthesia, synesthesia. The translation of one sense to another. How is it done? What's the bandwidth? What were we capable of doing this under evolution? What are people who lose their sight or hearing, what sort of heightened responses and bandwidth they get with the other senses to compensate? Elements of music: beat, rhythm, expression, dynamics of style, tempo, form, harmony, melody, notation, pitch, texture, timbre. Music is something a little bit that escapes me. I know it's like sonic mathematics, breaking down sound waves, and there's a type of didacticism within music that escapes me. Oh, this equals this, like math. Let x equal x. Well, sometimes x does not equal x for different people. So I feel there's a type of openness in these different themes. Element of theater or drama. Big fan of this, big fan of constructing narratives from Aristotle. Character setting, dialogue, conflict, action, plot, design, theme. Cool. But this often gets complicated. What are we trying to do by storytelling? What are we trying to do by mimesis? Sort of creating a make believe reality in front of other people. Up to modernity, we have Brecht's dictum: don't suspend thy disbelief. Don't create illusions and expect that these represent the world. We see this over and over again. Going to talk about, probably in another lecture, Clement Greenberg's taking of the Kantian, as in the Immanuel Kant's notion of making human value, human meaning possible in the world after David Hume's empiricism, saying there is no meaning. 2 plus 2 does not equal 4. It's a contingent belief system. So Kant, as in a sort of the end of the 17th century, 18th century Enlightenment, beginning of the French and American revolutions, said, well, what can we reconstruct in terms of philosophizing about meaning? So this Clement Greenberg took this and said the Kantian response to modernity is to reflect upon the basic properties of the art form itself. Therefore, painting is about the surface of the painting, meaning painting should not be a window into a false world. Exact same thing with theater and Brecht. Don't suspend thy disbelief. Stay at the surface of the mimesis. What is this troupe of actors or film trying to tell you about your specific world? Elements of arts: color, form, line, shape, space, texture, value. Similar, these reduction in elements and principles of any organized art form. Any walk through a city, you see drama in a city. You hear music in a city. You hear noise. You see visual culture in a city. What are the basic Kantian modernist reductivist responses you're actually looking for? You see people move through the city: space, time, energy, force. You see beautiful bodies. You see not so beautiful bodies. You see overweight bodies in the city. You see bodies that are attractive, and you look for the attractive bodies in a city. This is part of the diversity. Dance: how do people move within this city? This Homo sapiens is an incredible animal, playing with relatively poor senses and actually expanding and expressing from these. Repetition, balance, contrast, emphasis, variety. Principle, organization for the visual arts: again, balance, contrast, emphasis, dominance, harmony, movement, rhythm, proportion, repetition, pattern, unity. These are on the surface. These are on the surface of a world after David Hume, the empiricist, um, uh, coming out of the British empiricists, from Descartes, Bishop Berkeley, John Locke, which we contend that a lot of American jurisprudence law is actually Lockean, that the individual is supreme, but the individual must perform rigorous self-reflection.